All right, then we'll move on to Keerthana's presentation on how to make content that is impactful. So,
hi everybody, my name is Keerthana Anand, and right now I'm going to be presenting my presentation on how to deliver content effectively and present impactful content. Just give me a second to screenshot. I hope it's visible to all of you. So, my name is Keerthana Anand, and I have been public speaking and giving presentations ever since I was a little girl. Did I have stage fear? Absolutely, especially when I started. And with time, as I learned how to properly get my message across and to the people that were supposed to reach to, I got better at it. So here I am sharing my top tips according to research with you on how to properly deliver the content that you are presenting. So what's the issue and why does it matter? One of the biggest issues with presentation is poor content delivery. Sometimes when we're afraid to give presentations or sometimes when we are not clear with what we're presenting, we often tend to stutter during presentations or we often tend to deliver content or deliver messages inefficiently. Why is this a problem? This is a problem because we will not be able to convey the points, the messages and the ideologies that we are trying to present properly, clearly, and impactfully. That's what we're trying to fix right now. So further on, I'm going to be discussing with you some very common problems that I myself have observed and made through my presenting life or my experience with public speaking. So the common mistakes that I notice in other people's presentations or the mistakes that I have made in my previous presentations are as follows. Firstly, using too much text on a content slide. The content slide that I'm presenting to my audience is merely a reference for them to take on and something that they can read while listening to me. The content that I'm delivering right now holds utmost importance. And adding too much text on the screen or adding too much text on the slides that I'm presenting takes away the attention that the audience have from myself as well as the content itself. Reading too much content or over explaining what we have on our slides might bore the audience as well as not be clear about what we are trying to convey. With that, we come to our second point, which talks about too much detail. It is a presentation where the audience must listen to the presenter, where the presenter has utmost information about the topic. And adding too much detail or too much information in the slides might bore your audience or take away the attention that they have and that they're giving to you right now. Another important part of presentations is not being conscious and purposeful. People often divert from a certain topic that they're presenting as they're talking about it. Going from one place to another and jumping from one concept to another concept might also confuse your audience. At this time, being purposeful and making sure the title and the purpose of your presentation is duly served. What you're trying to convey is properly taken across. Another important part of being or giving presentations is not being too scripted or robotic. Sometimes when we're presenting, we tend to stick to our script a little way too much. In this circumstance, it often seems as though we are reading off a piece of paper or we're giving a presentation that is written down and does not connect to the audience. In this part, the audience don't feel like they connect to you or your message does not trigger anything in their brain and it doesn't stick to them. Let's connect with our audience because we as presenters must be talking to our audience and telling them a story. It's scientifically proven that human beings respond better to stories and experiences and analogies rather than mere content. So giving a good presentation and presenting proper content also lies in giving stories and thinking ways through which we can truly portray the human experience that we are trying to cover. Another important part is too much generalization. All topics are very widespread. They have so many topics that come under them that itself. Here, talking about presentations or giving a perfect presentation, there is a countless amount of mistakes and tips and everything that us as presenters will be able to offer to you. But putting all those topics or generalizing all of them under just one title will not effectively contribute to what we are trying to do here. So breaking down those topics exactly as we've done here, giving each person one part and having them explain it to you is an ideal way of presenting to people. Having the information be concise and specific and giving your audience exactly what they need to know is a very important part of presentations, as well as using complex words and jargon. Complex words and jargon can be very confusing to audience. Sometimes the people that you are presenting to might not know anything about what you're trying to show them or talk to them about. And in this place, when you're using complex words and professional jargon, it might confuse your audience and your message will not effectively and impactfully get across. These are some very common mistakes that I myself have made in so many of the presentations that I have given throughout time. And right now, we're going to be talking about my top tips through which you can make your presentation something to remember by. Some top tips according to the National Conference of State Legislature are using key phrases and only including essential information. Why is that important? That is important because our presentation needs to be on point, it needs to be direct, and it needs to convey to our audience what we are talking about. Let's not drag them dry. Let's not lose their interest or their attention while we are presenting, as well as avoiding use of flashy transitions in order to keep their attention. Lots of people also have light sensitivity, and an important part of being inclusive is to make sure that we are focusing on our content and our message instead of ways that we can make our presentation look more attractive. Making attractive presentations really focuses on slide design and use of colors, which another panelist in this presentation will be explaining to you about. Using flashy transition or too much graphics on one page might really lose the attention of your audience. Another way, lots of presenters, and a common mistake that a lot of presenters make is to read directly from their slides. The slides that you are presenting to your audience are cues for you to start talking. Every slide must have a point that you start from and then elaborate on. Simply reading the content that is given on your slide bores you as well as your audience and does not serve its purpose properly. Excuse me. And in this circumstance, let's make sure that the slides that we design have minimal points, minimal amount of text, and as well as they are directly to the point and are different from our script. What is there on your slide should be just a starting point of what you are explaining and nothing more than that. An important part is minimize your text that is given in your slide. A common rule of thumb to make in kind or to follow in smaller presentations are using the 6x6 rule. That is using only 6 words in a line and 6 points on a slide. In this way, you can make sure that you make the most concise slides that you have and effectively reach your audience to make impactful presentations. By this way, you can also avoid long sentences and not lose the attention of your audience. Avoiding abbreviations and acronyms is also another important point. Abbreviations and acronyms might not always be common knowledge and might just slide over the heads of your audience. Using full words and making sure that you clearly deliver your content is an important part of giving presentations. And lastly, do your research, know your audience, and time your presentation. Presentations are timed events. Dragging your presentation too long or over-explaining your content will only lose the attention of your audience. The audience will respond better to stories, respond better to content delivered with interest and passion. In that way, you can clearly reach your audience when you make sure that your content is researched, objective, and reaches to the point. Present your audience with data, present them with statistics. Don't leave them with unnecessary questions. In case, if you are making statements such as data suggests or according to research, it's better to specify what data and the source of the data and what research that you are mentioning. By this way, you can clearly show your audience the objectivity in your presentation, which also increases the reliability of the information that you're sharing. Data and statistics are proven to increase reliability in your content, and more reliable content or more reliable presentations, or at least presentations that are perceived to be reliable, reach your audience better, and impact your audience better. In that way, this will be, we can talk about how to give impactful presentations. How do we make sure that our message sticks to our audience? An important part in giving impactful presentations is storytelling. Making sure that the voice modulation that you use, the gestures that you use, and the way you are presenting the content, not just on your slide, but as a panelist or a presenter, is very important. It is important to make sure that you entertain your audience with your hand gestures and your expressions and use proper voice modulation throughout your content. Make sure to hold your audience attention and keep them engaged throughout. Being able to convey your message in the most interesting way is key to presenting a proper and an effective presentation. In that way, also making it understandable, simple, and easily able to be broken down is also important in order to make sure that your audience understand exactly what you're trying to convey. Our goal here is to make sure that our message or your message properly and effectively reaches the audience. And I really, really hope that my message through my presentation has reached the audience. If you have any other questions about how to give the perfect presentation or need guidance or checking in your own presentation, feel free to reach out to me. I'm Keerthana Anand. You can find me on LinkedIn or email me or find me on Instagram, and I will be happy to answer all of your questions. I'm Keerthana Anand, a student of School of an alumni of School of Humanity and a youth mentor at School of Humanity, here presenting to you how to deliver content effectively. And I hope that you had a good time in my presentation and my message got across to you in the most efficient and impactful manner. Thank you.
That was a perfect example of a content impact presentation, Keerthana. I used to believe that presentations were to show others that I have all the research so you can minimize questions, but I completely agree. Because a good presentation should be anecdotal and relatable to draw the readers in and the listeners in to make them curious to know more.